Hey guys, welcome back to Sleep Among Titans, where we drift through strange and quiet corners of the past, perfect for listening before you sleep. Tonight your journey takes you to the cold, misty shores of Viking-age Norway. We are not on a longship raiding foreign lands. We are in a quiet village in a small, smoky hut where the oldest and most important secrets of your world are kept. Your story begins here. You are a young girl no older than 10 sent by your mother to deliver a small gift of honey cakes to the village seeress, the völva. You push aside the heavy leather flap of her door and step into a world of shadows. The air inside is thick with the smell of wood smoke and 100 different drying herbs that hang from the rafters like a fragile, fragrant forest. The seeress is an old woman, her face a map of deep wrinkles, but her eyes are as clear and sharp as ice on a winter fjord. She takes your offering and gestures for you to sit. Her voice when she speaks is like the rustling of dry autumn leaves. She tells you a story not of great warriors, but of the goddess Freya. She explains that Freya is not just the goddess of love and beauty, but of war, of death, and of powerful untamed magic. Then she leans forward and tells you a secret intended only for you. She says that a woman's heart is like the earth itself. It can be a warm, life-giving hearth, or it can be a frozen, barren field. It can be a place of peace or a battlefield. This power to choose, she whispers, is your birthright. It is a magic far older and far deeper than swords or ships. You do not understand all of her words, not yet. But this lesson will become the hearth fire of your life. Your long journey is just beginning. You carry the seeress's strange and powerful words with you as you walk back from her smoky hut. The memory of her sharp, intelligent eyes still fresh in your mind. Her talk of a woman's sacred power of hearts like battlefields and hearths feels grand and mysterious. It also feels a world away from the very practical, very loud, and very smelly reality of your family's longhouse. Your home is in many ways a great living creature, just as the stories say. And like most living creatures, it is often noisy, a bit damp, and prone to leaking in the most inconvenient places. The air inside is a permanent smoky fog, courtesy of the long, open fire pit that runs down the center of the hall. This fire is the heart of your home, and the smoke it produces is the secret ingredient in every meal, the perfume that clings to every piece of cloth, and the reason your eyes are perpetually slightly watering. The sounds of your world are a constant, familiar symphony. There is the steady, rhythmic thump-clack of your mother's warp-weighted loom against the far wall, a sound that serves as the beat to the other instruments, your father's impressive rumbling snores from his high seat, the endless low-level bickering of your two younger brothers over a dropped playing piece, and the occasional mournful moo from the prized family cow who has been brought inside to shelter from the winter winds and is clearly rethinking her life choices. The years pass in the slow, steady rhythm of this domestic chaos. You grow from a curious girl into a capable young woman, and you learn the skills required to manage this small universe. This is the practical, everyday magic of your people. You learn to spin raw, greasy wool into strong, even thread, a process that looks peaceful, but is in fact an unending, patient war against knots and tangles. You learn to weave that thread into the dense, warm cloth that keeps your family from freezing to death in the winter. You learn to brew the strong, sweet ale that is the fuel for every feast and every long, dark evening. It is a noble and essential craft, one that involves a great deal of heavy lifting, a lot of stirring, and a significant amount of quiet prayer to the gods that this particular batch won't end up fermenting into something that tastes vaguely of disappointment and sour socks. You learn to manage the farmstead's food stores, which means you are the guardian of your family's winter survival. In practice, this high and noble duty primarily consists of finding new and creative hiding places for the smoked fish to keep your perpetually hungry younger brother Olaf from stealing it. This is the true power you learn as you grow. Not the mystical cedar of the seeress, but the mundane, essential magic of turning wool into warmth grain, into ale milk, into cheese, and the loud, chaotic mess of your family into a functioning, well-fed household. You learn that a woman's worth is measured by her skills, her patience, and most importantly, her ability to completely ignore the pervasive smell of wet goat. And because you are skilled and patient, you have become a very valuable asset indeed, a fact that your father in his practical way is about to make use of. The memory of the seeress's words about a woman's power becomes a quiet, secret companion to you as you navigate the practical and often unmagical world of your home. You have grown into your 17th year, and your life is a rhythm of skilled essential work. Your hands, once small and soft, are now strong and capable, calloused from the loom and the grinding stone. You are a valuable asset to your family, a fact which has not gone unnoticed in the surrounding fjords. The negotiation for your future arrives on a cold, windswept evening in the heart of winter. He is a man named Eric, a powerful landowner from the next fjord over, and he arrives with his 2 eldest sons, his beard red as a fox's pelt and frosted with ice from their journey. His arrival is an event. Your mother brings out the best smoked salmon and the oldest, strongest ale. You and your younger sister move quietly in the firelight, serving the men, your faces a perfect mask of humble hospitality. But you are not just a servant tonight. You are, with a cold certainty, the reason for this visit. The men talk for a long time. Their conversation is a slow, careful dance of pleasantries. They talk of the harshness of the winter, of the thickness of the ice on the fjord. They talk of a great whale that was beached last month, a gift from the gods. They talk of the poor hunting season. You listen to the drone of their voices, patiently waiting for the performance to end and the real business to begin. Finally, after the second horn of ale has been drained, Eric leans forward, his eyes fixed on your father. "My son Bjorn," he says, gesturing to the quiet, broad-shouldered young man beside him. "He is a fine warrior. His axe is feared from Ireland to the lands of the Rus. He can hunt a stag and carry it home on his shoulders without resting. He is of an age to take a wife and manage his own hall." Your father nods slowly, stroking his own great gray beard. "My daughter Astrid." He replies, his gaze flickering towards you for a single appraising moment. Her hand at the loom is unmatched in this fjord. She can weave a cloth so fine it can pass through a silver ring, and her management of our stores has seen us through 2 lean winters. She knows the ways of a great household. You listen to them catalog your and Bjorn's skills as if you are 2 prize farm animals being considered for a trade. You are pleased in a distant, detached way to hear that your weaving ability is valued at approximately the same rate as Bjorn's stag-carrying capacity. It seems a fair bargain. Now the real negotiation begins. It is a business transaction, pure and simple. For the bride price, Eric says, his voice a low rumble, "I will offer your house 20 pieces of hacked silver and 4 of my best milk cows." Your father considers this. 4 cows is a good start, he says. "But your lands are richer for grazing than mine. Your cattle are fat. My harbor is better. My fishermen are the best in the region. An alliance between us would benefit you greatly in the fishing season." Eric grunts in acknowledgement. "I will accept your offer of silver," your father says, "if you make it 5 cows and you add the brindle-coated Irish hunting dog you boasted of last Yule." You watch your father and your future father-in-law, 2 of the most powerful men in the region, engage in a tense 15-minute negotiation that seems to hinge entirely on the ownership of a single prized dog. Finally, Eric relents. 5 cows and the dog, he agrees. A fair price for a fine maiden. Now it is your father's turn to state your dowry, the wealth you will bring to your new home. "Astrid will not come to you empty-handed," he declares proudly. "She will bring with her 2 great chests filled with the fine linen and woolen cloth she has woven herself. She will also bring 6 of our best ewes and the great silver brooch that belonged to her grandmother, a treasure of our line." The deal is settled. They clasp forearms over the fire, their faces lit with the satisfaction of a profitable arrangement. Your life has just been charted for the foreseeable future. Your father turns to you. "Astrid, come forward." You place the ale horn you were holding on a table and step into the firelight. You keep your eyes respectfully lowered, as a dutiful daughter should. "It is settled." Your father announces, his voice booming with pride. "In the spring, when the ice breaks, you will be wed to Bjorn, son of Eric. It is a good and honorable alliance, and it will strengthen both our houses." You look up just for a moment. You look at your father, his face full of paternal pride in a deal well made. You look at Eric, who is now your future father-in-law. And you look at Bjorn, the man who will be your husband. He is staring at you with a look of intense, unreadable curiosity, like a man assessing a newly acquired property. He is a stranger to you. You do not feel joy. You do not feel anger. You feel only a quiet, heavy sense of resignation, of a great wheel turning, carrying you with it. You remember the seeress's words that a woman's heart can be a warm hearth or a frozen field. You are about to be transplanted to a new and unknown soil. I am honored, Father, you say, your voice a quiet murmur. You bow your head, the perfect image of a dutiful daughter. The men roar with approval and drink to their new alliance. You retreat back into the shadows to refill their horns. As you pour the dark, sweet ale, you look into the dancing flames of your family's hearth. And you wonder with a quiet sense of detached curiosity if your new life will require you to learn how to carry a stag. Of course. Here's the next part of your story, where you begin the slow meditative process of weaving your own future. Progress 313 parts complete. Now writing part 4. The ambient sound is the warm domestic interior of the longhouse. The dominant sound is the steady rhythmic thump-clack of a loom mixed with the crackle of the central fire. The deal for your life has been struck. The handshakes have been made. The celebratory ale has been drunk. And now a new quiet urgency settles over your days. Your wedding is set for the spring as soon as the ice on the fjord breaks and travel becomes easy once more. And you have work to do. You must prepare your dowry. Your days now find you at the great warp-weighted loom that stands against the far wall of the longhouse. This has always been your domain, a place of quiet concentration, but now it has become the focal point of your existence. The loom is a formidable structure, a great upright frame of dark, heavy oak leaning against the wall. From its high crossbeam hang hundreds of individual woolen threads, the vertical warp, each one held perfectly taut by a small fire-hardened clay weight that dangles just above the floor. You have come to think of the loom not as a tool, but as a silent, demanding, and sometimes temperamental companion. It is your partner in a slow, patient dance. It has its own moods. On damp days, the woolen threads seem to absorb the moisture from the air, growing heavy and sticky. On dry, cold days, they become brittle and threaten to snap. You have learned its language over the years, the subtle shift in tension, the quiet creak of the wooden frame, the way the threads hum when the tension is just right. The cloth you are weaving now is the most important of your life. It is the cloth that will represent the wealth and skill of your family. It will be the proof of your value as a wife. You are, you think, with a touch of quiet, dark humor, literally weaving your own price tag. You begin the familiar hypnotic rhythm of your work. In your right hand, you hold the shuttle, a smooth, boat-shaped piece of polished birch wood, worn down by the hands of your mother and her mother before her. The weft thread, the horizontal thread you will use to build the cloth, is wound tightly around it. First, you pass the shuttle through the gap in the hanging warp threads from your right hand to your left. The shuttle makes a soft, satisfying hiss as it glides through the forest of taut wool. Next, you take up your weaving sword. It is not a weapon of war, but a tool of creation, a long, flat, heavy piece of polished whalebone. You use it to beat the new thread firmly upwards, packing it tightly against the row you just completed. The weaving sword makes a solid, resonant thump-clack against the growing fabric. Then you adjust the heddle rod, a wooden bar that separates the warp threads, creating a new opening. And you begin again. Hiss, thump-clack, hiss, thump-clack. This is the steady, rhythmic heartbeat of your work. It is the sound that has filled this longhouse for generations. It is the sound of warmth being created, of order being woven from chaos. The work is slow. An entire day of labor might only produce a few inches of new cloth. But you are not in a hurry. The rhythm is what matters. The wool you are using has been dyed with the treasures of the earth. There are threads of a deep, rich red colored with the root of the madder plant. There are threads of a dark, brooding blue from the woad leaves that stain your fingers for days. And there are threads of a creamy, natural white. As you work, a complex geometric pattern of diamonds and lines begins to emerge, a testament to your skill and patience. It is a kind of slow, deliberate magic. As your hands work on their own, moving through the familiar, repeated motions, your mind is free to wander. And as you weave the threads of wool, you begin to weave the threads of your own thoughts and fears about the future. You see the weaving as a metaphor for the life that has been chosen for you. The long vertical warp threads, fixed and unmoving, are the great unchangeable facts of your destiny. You are a woman. You will be a wife. You will be a mother. These threads were strung for you long before you were born. But the weft thread, the one that you guide back and forth in your shuttle, that is your own. It is your journey through that fixed frame. The colors you choose, the patterns you create, the strength of your weave, that is where your own character resides. You think of Bjorn, the tall, silent stranger who will be your husband. As you pass a shuttle wound with the deep red thread, you think of the hearth fire you will have to share with him. You wonder if he is a man of quiet moods or of quick, flashing tempers. As you beat a line of dark blue thread into place, you think of the cold, dangerous sea that he sails upon when he goes on raids. You wonder if you will spend your life waiting, watching the horizon for his return. As you weave with the simple, honest white wool, you think of the quiet, unknown spaces of your future life together. You find yourself weaving your questions into the cloth. The steady thump-clack of the loom becomes an answer. It is the sound of your destiny taking shape one thread at a time. It is the only answer you have. The day fades outside the longhouse. The air grows dark and the great hearth fire now becomes the main source of light, its warm golden glow making the colors of your weaving seem to shimmer and come alive. You are not just making a blanket, you are weaving a life. You are taking the threads of duty, of tradition, and of your own quiet, uncertain heart, and you are creating the very fabric of the woman you are about to become. The long, quiet winter of your preparation is over. The ice on the fjord has broken with a sound like thunder, and the sea is once again open and alive. With the arrival of spring comes the day of your wedding. The ceremony itself is a brisk, practical, and very public affair. It does not take place in a hushed temple but outdoors on the green grass before your father's longhouse, witnessed by the entire community. You stand beside Bjorn, your husband-to-be, a man you have now spoken a grand total of 12 words to, mostly concerning the weather. You listen as your father and his father Eric recite the formal oaths. The terms of the marriage contract, the bride price, your dowry are announced publicly so that all may bear witness. Your father formally places your hand in Bjorn's. His hand is large, warm, and rough with calluses from the sword and the axe. You exchange simple silver rings, and just like that, the business transaction is complete. You are no longer Astrid, daughter of Olaf. You are now Astrid, wife of Bjorn. What follows is the feast. And a Viking wedding feast, you quickly learn, is a glorious, chaotic, and deafeningly loud symphony of celebration. The entire population of 2 fjords seems to be crammed into your father's great hall. The long central fire roars and spits, sending clouds of fragrant smoke up towards the smoke hole in the roof. The long wooden tables are laden with a magnificent and almost overwhelming amount of food. Whole roasted pigs, their skin crackling. Great platters of smoked fish, mountains of dark heavy bread, and bowls of cheese and wild berries. Horns of strong sweet ale are passed from hand to hand, and they are never allowed to be empty. You are the queen of this feast. You sit at the high table in the center of the hall beside your new husband. Your official duty is to smile serenely, to sip politely from your own ceremonial drinking horn, and to be the perfect blushing bride. In reality, you feel less like a bride and more like a quiet, sober zookeeper observing the feeding time of a large and boisterous pack of very hairy, very happy animals. From your vantage point, you watch the celebration unfold. A skald, a poet with a long white beard and a booming voice, is standing on a bench loudly reciting an epic poem about a hero who single-handedly fought a sea serpent. No one is really listening to the story, but they are enjoying the rhythm and the shouting. Your uncles and Bjorn's uncles have already challenged each other to a drinking contest, their faces growing redder with each toast. Your younger brother Olaf, who you are certain has eaten an entire honey cake by himself, is beginning to look a little green. In a far corner, 2 old grizzled warriors are having a loud friendly argument about a battle that took place 30 years ago, each man's memory of his own bravery having clearly grown more magnificent with every passing year. And Bjorn, your new husband, he sits beside you, a silent, solid presence. He does not speak much, but he smiles as his friends and cousins come to slap him on the back and offer their congratulations. He drinks his ale in long, slow draughts. Every so often he turns and looks at you, his expression not one of passion or romance, but of a quiet, almost nervous curiosity. He is a stranger, and you are a stranger to him. You are 2 people who have been bound together by a contract, now sitting side by side at the center of a roaring party held in your honor. It is a profoundly strange and public way to begin a life together. As the night wears on, the songs grow louder, the stories more exaggerated, and the drinkers more unsteady on their feet. Finally, the moment you have been quietly anticipating and dreading arrives. Your mother with the other senior women of your family approaches you. It is time for the formal bed-going ceremony. You are led from the noisy, smoky hall. The women escort you to a small private bed closet that has been prepared for you. It is a small enclosed room built into the wall of the longhouse, just large enough for a single wide bed, filled with fresh straw, and covered with the new brightly colored linens that you wove as part of your dowry. It is the only truly private space in the entire building. A few moments later, Bjorn is escorted to the room by his father and brothers, all of them roaring with laughter and offering him loud, crude advice. Your mother gives you a final reassuring pat on the shoulder. "He is a good man," she whispers to you. "He will be a good husband." Then she slides the heavy wooden door shut, leaving you in the small dark space with your new husband. The roar of the feast is instantly muted, becoming a distant muffled rumble. The silence in the small room is sudden and immense. There are no soft words of love whispered in the darkness. This is not the stuff of the skald's songs. It is a quiet, slightly clumsy, and deeply serious act. It is the physical and spiritual consummation of the contract. It is the joining of two bloodlines, the forging of a new family. It is a duty performed for your ancestors and for the future children you are now expected to produce. It is over quickly. You lie in the darkness side by side with this man who is now your husband. The only sound is his deep, steady breathing as sleep quickly claims him. The business of your wedding day is at last complete. You are in every sense of the word a wife. You listen to the distant muffled sounds of the party still raging in the great hall, and you wonder what the morning will bring. You wonder what kind of life you will build with the stranger sleeping beside you. The seeress's words about the hearth and the battlefield echo in your mind, and you have a strange, certain feeling that your new life will contain a great deal of both. Of course. Here is the next part of your story detailing the awkward morning after the journey to your new home and the solemn moment you become the mistress of the household. Progress 513 parts complete. Now writing part 6. The ambient sound shifts to the morning after a great feast. The fire is a low bed of embers, and the air is filled with the quiet sounds of a household slowly and painfully waking up. You wake up to the gray light of dawn filtering through the smoke hole in the roof of the longhouse. Your head aches not from the ale you barely drank, but from the sheer, overwhelming noise of the celebration last night. You are in the small, dark, and very warm bed closet. Beside you, your new husband Bjorn is snoring softly, a sound like a distant, contented bear. The great feast is over. The contract is sealed. Your new life has begun. The morning is a blur of quiet, awkward moments. The longhouse is a wreck with sleeping bodies of distant cousins and friends littered across the floor like fallen warriors. A thick, stale smell of spilled ale, cold smoke, and roasted meat hangs in the air. You and Bjorn emerge from your chamber into this scene of domestic carnage. You are, for all intents and purposes, strangers who just spent the night together. Your first conversation as a married couple is a masterpiece of polite, formal understatement. "Did you sleep well?" he asks, his voice a low, rough rumble. "I did, thank you," you reply, which is not entirely untrue. "Does your head ache from the ale?" "It does," he says with a grimace. It is a conversation of profound and earth-shattering depth, and it is the foundation upon which you will now build your entire life. Later that morning, the time comes for you to leave your family home forever. The farewells are brief and deeply emotional. Your mother holds you tight, her hands gripping your shoulders. She does not give you advice on how to be a wife. She simply whispers, "Be strong, my daughter," a command that holds a world of meaning. Your father, a man of few words, clasps your arm and gives you a proud, sad nod. You are no longer his asset. You are now an ambassador, a living treaty sent to another land. You climb into the longboat that will take you to your new life, and you do not look back. The journey takes several hours across the calm, cold waters of your home fjord and out onto the open sea before turning into the neighboring fjord where your new home awaits. You sit in the boat, a quiet, observant figure. You use this time to study your new husband. He is not a man of many words. While his father and brothers laugh and tell loud stories, Bjorn is mostly silent, his hand resting on the boat's steering oar, his eyes scanning the cliffs and the water with a quiet, expert confidence. You learn more about him in these few hours of shared silence than you did during the entire noisy wedding feast. You learn that he is a skilled sailor, that he knows the moods of the sea. You learn that he does not enjoy the boisterous bragging of other men. And you learn that he has a small, almost shy smile that appears only when he spots a puffin bobbing on the waves. You watch him smile at the small, comical-looking bird, and you think to yourself with a flicker of dry, practical humor that you can probably build a life with a man who likes puffins. It is a solid, if unusual, foundation. Finally, you round a great granite headland and you see it, your new home. The farmstead is larger than your father's, with more land stretching back into a green wooded valley. The longhouse is long and dark, its roof covered in turf with a plume of white smoke rising from its center. It looks strong and prosperous and completely alien. As you disembark, you are greeted at the shoreline by Bjorn's mother, your new mother-in-law, a formidable woman named Sigrid. She is the current husfreyja, the matriarch of this clan. She has eyes the color of a stormy sea and a gaze that is just as penetrating. She looks you up and down a single swift appraising glance. This is not a warm welcome. It is an inspection. You are the new piece of equipment that has just been acquired for the farm, and she is judging your quality. You stand up straight and meet her gaze without flinching. She seems satisfied. She gives a curt nod and leads you towards the longhouse. At the great carved wooden door she stops. The entire family and all the farm servants and thralls have gathered to bear witness. Then the ceremony begins. It is a ritual as old as your people, a moment of profound and symbolic importance. Sigrid, with a slow, deliberate movement, unhooks a large, heavy ring of keys from the belt at her waist. You look at the keys. They are not small or delicate. They are made of heavy bronze and dark pitted iron. There are dozens of them, each one a different shape and size, worn smooth and dark by 30 years of her touch. These are the keys to everything. The key to the great pantry filled with food for the winter. The key to the storehouse where the precious tools and trade goods are kept. The key to the locked chests that hold the family's silver and valuables. These keys are the symbol of all domestic power, of all authority within the home. Sigrid holds the heavy ring of keys out to you. You extend your own 2 hands, palms up, to receive them. She places the keys into your hands. Their weight is immense, real, and cold. The hearth is now yours to keep. She says, her voice loud and formal so that all may hear. The stores are now yours to manage. The family's health and wealth are now in your hands. See that you guard them well. You look down at the heavy, cold metal in your palms. This is your power. This is your burden. This is the true and final seal of your new life. You are no longer Astrid, the daughter, a girl who weaves cloth. You are now Astrid, the husfreyja, the mistress of this house, the keeper of the keys. You look up from the keys in your hand to your new husband who stands beside you, to your new mother-in-law whose reign has just ended, and to the dark, unfamiliar entrance of the longhouse that is now your domain. The seeress spoke of a woman's power, and you realize with a sudden, overwhelming clarity that your own long, quiet, and deeply complicated reign has just begun. Several seasons have passed since your arrival at your new home. The awkwardness of a new bride has slowly given way to the quiet, steady authority of the husfreyja. You have learned the rhythms of your new farmstead, the personalities of the servants and thralls, and the quiet, steady nature of your husband Bjorn. You have found a balance. Your life is one of hard work, of managing the stores, of weaving, and of ensuring the smooth, practical running of your household. You have in your own way built a warm and well-ordered hearth. Tonight, you are reminded of the other side of your world, the world of men of honor, and of the battlefield that can erupt from a single misplaced word. You and Bjorn are attending a great winter feast at the hall of your local jarl. The hall is magnificent, a great long building filled with the smoky, flickering light of torches and the immense roaring fire of the central hearth. The air is thick with the rich, greasy smell of roasted pork, the sweet scent of spilled ale and mead, and the close, human smell of 100 warriors packed onto long wooden benches. The atmosphere is boisterous and loud. It is a celebration of a successful harvest and the beginning of the long, dark winter. It is a time for eating, drinking, and most importantly, for boasting. You sit at a table near the high seat, a quiet, observant presence amidst the cheerful chaos. You watch with a kind of detached anthropological amusement as the men engage in the great theater of Viking manhood. One by one, they stand, bang their drinking horns on the table for silence, and tell grand, increasingly exaggerated tales of their own bravery and prowess. You watch as a man whose greatest accomplishment this past month was successfully mending a broken fence tells a breathless story of how he fought off 3 fearsome raiders single-handedly. Another warrior, a man you know for a fact is terrified of deep water, boasts of wrestling a great sea serpent. This is the currency of their world reputation. A man's honor is his most valuable possession, a treasure he must constantly guard and polish with loud words and, if necessary, with a sharp axe. It is all very loud, very impressive, and you suspect about half true. Bjorn, to his credit, remains seated quietly drinking his ale and listening with a small cynical smile on his face. The night wears on and the ale flows freely. The boasts grow louder, the laughter more raucous. The atmosphere is thick with good fellowship. And then in an instant, it all shatters. It starts, as it often does, with a small thing. A loud, arrogant warrior named Gunnar, his face flushed with drink and self-importance, is telling a particularly unbelievable story. At a pause in his tale, another man at his table, a quiet woodcarver named Kale, known more for the skill of his hands than the strength of his arm, makes a soft, witty comment. It is a small, sarcastic barb that questions the truth of Gunnar's tale. A few men nearby hear it and let out a short, sharp bark of laughter. Gunnar stops his story. His face, which was red with drink, now turns a darker, more dangerous shade. His honor has been pricked. His story has been questioned. In the delicate, prideful world of the Viking Hall, this is a grave offense. Gunnar does not challenge Kale to a fistfight. He does something far worse. He leans across the table, and his voice, which was a loud boom, drops to a low, venomous hiss that seems to cut through the entire din of the hall. He speaks Nid, a deep, ancient, and unforgivable insult. He does not attack Kale's strength. He does not question his bravery. He attacks his very nature as a man. He accuses Kale of ergi, the unspoken taboo. He accuses him of taking the woman's role in a man's embrace, of being the passive partner, an object to be used. The effect is instantaneous and absolute. It is as if a sudden freezing wind has swept through the hall. A wave of silence radiates out from their table, extinguishing the laughter, the songs, the conversations. The entire roaring hall, filled with 100 drunken armed men, falls utterly, completely quiet. The only sound is the soft, hungry crackle of the great fire in the hearth. It is the most terrifying silence you have ever heard. Every eye in the room is now fixed on the 2 men. Kale's face is as white as the snow outside. His hand, you notice, is gripping the hilt of the long knife at his belt, his knuckles white. The air is thick with the promise of imminent bloody violence. This is no longer a game. Bjorn leans over to you, his own face grim. By law, he whispers, his voice barely audible. After an insult of that nature, Kale has the right to kill him where he sits. If he does nothing, his honor is gone. He will be a shamed man for the rest of his days, a ghost in his own village. Just as Kale begins to rise, the Jarl, the host of the feast, stands up from his high seat. His voice booms through the silent hall. There will be no bloodshed under my roof, he declares. He does not rule on the insult. He does not take sides. He simply restores order. This is a matter of honor. It will be settled as such. At sunrise, on the small flat island in the fjord, a holmgang, a formal duel. The gods will decide who is right. The feast is over. The joyous atmosphere has been irrevocably shattered. Men who were just moments ago laughing and drinking together now quietly get up and leave their faces somber. As you and Bjorn walk home through the cold, silent, moonlit snow, you do not speak. You have just witnessed how quickly the boisterous warmth of your world can turn to a cold, deadly fury. You have seen the fragile, violent, and deeply serious nature of a man's honor. You pull your woolen cloak tighter around you, feeling a deep chill that has nothing to do with the winter air. The memory of the tense and brutal honor duel fades with the melting of the winter snows. The spring and summer that follow are long, peaceful, and prosperous. With the seas calm once more, the men, including your husband Bjorn, do as they have always done. They gather their swords and their shields, they launch their longship, and they sail west towards the green, rich lands of Ireland in search of plunder and glory. Your life in their absence is one of hard work and quiet authority. As the húsfreyja, you are the absolute master of the farmstead. You direct the planting of the fields, the milking of the cows, the mending of the roofs. The months without the men are peaceful, orderly, and productive. But as the summer begins to wane and the days grow shorter, a familiar, anxious anticipation settles over the fjord. You find yourself, along with all the other wives and mothers, scanning the horizon day after day, waiting for the sight of a familiar striped sail. One bright, cold afternoon, the cry goes up. A ship has been spotted. It is theirs. A wave of relief and excitement washes over the small community. You stand on the rocky shoreline, your heart pounding in your chest, watching as the dragon-headed prow of the longship cuts through the clear, cold water heading for home. The men who leap from the ship are triumphant. They are thinner-bearded and burnt by the sun and the salt, but they are alive and they are victorious. Bjorn finds you in the crowd and greets you with a brief, strong embrace. His beard smells of salt and faraway lands. You feel a surge of simple, profound relief. He has come back to you. Then the unloading of the plunder begins. It is a familiar and celebrated ritual. The men form a line, passing the spoils of their raid from the ship to the shore. There are chests filled with silver arm rings and hacked-up religious artifacts. There are bolts of fine, brightly colored wool and linen cloth far superior to your own homespun. There are sacks of wheat and barrels of wine. This is the wealth that will see your farmstead through the long winter. This is the profit from a summer of violence. You watch your heart swelling with the pride of a prosperous household. And then the last of the plunder is brought ashore. It is a small group of people. Their hands bound their faces, pale with terror and seasickness. They are the human cargo, the thralls, the slaves. And among them, your eyes lock on a young woman perhaps your own age. She has a wild mane of red hair the color of a fox in the autumn sun. Her clothes, once probably fine, are now torn and stained. Her eyes, wide and green, dart around, taking in the strange, harsh landscape and the faces of her captors. She is not a warrior. She is a prize, an object, another item to be counted and valued alongside the silver and the cloth. You look at the glittering pile of silver arm rings, and you feel the familiar satisfaction of wealth. Then you look at this girl. Her hands bound, her body trembling, and you realize that in the cold calculus of this raid, she is valued at approximately 30 pieces of silver, roughly the same as a good, healthy milk cow. You remember your own marriage negotiation, the long, serious discussion where your skills and virtues were weighed and appraised against the value of livestock. The parallel is sharp and ugly, and it leaves a bitter, metallic taste in your mouth. Later that evening, after the initial celebration, the plunder is divided according to the ship's articles. As is his right as a successful warrior, Bjorn claims the red-haired girl as his own personal thrall, his concubine, his frilla. He brings her back to your longhouse, to your home. It now becomes your duty as the húsfreyja to manage this new asset. You are the one who must untie her ropes. You are the one who must give her a new Norse name, for her old one is gone, lost somewhere across the sea. You are the one who must show her the tasks of the household, who must teach her the words of your language. You are now the master of a woman who in another life could have been you. As you stand before her in the smoky firelight of the great hall, a storm of new and conflicting emotions rages within you. There is pity, a deep and profound pity. You see the terror in her eyes, the way she flinches when you move too quickly. The profound, soul-deep loneliness of a person torn from her home and her people. A part of you, the part that remembers the seeress's words about a woman's power, aches for her. But there is also a sharp, ugly, and unfamiliar feeling. Jealousy. She is beautiful in a wild, foreign way. And she will share your husband's bed. Your marriage was a contract, a joining of properties. But you and Bjorn have built a life together. You have found a quiet, steady affection. And this girl's presence is a threat to that. And beneath it all, there is resentment. Her presence is a living, breathing reminder of the great double standard of your world. A wife's fidelity is absolute. A husband's is a matter of choice. You must assert your own authority. You are the mistress of this house. You hold the keys. You are her master, just as Bjorn is. You must be firm. But as you look at her, all you want to do is offer her a blanket and a warm drink. You lead the new girl you have named her Kira, a simple name, to her new sleeping place. It is not in a bed closet like yours. It is a simple pallet of straw and sheepskin in a corner near the kitchens, a place for servants and thralls. She sinks down onto it, her eyes never leaving yours, filled with a silent, pleading question that you cannot answer. You stand there for a moment, the heavy ring of bronze keys at your belt feeling heavier than ever before. They are the symbol of your power, your authority in this household. But as you look at the terrified red-haired girl who is now a part of your home, a part of your marriage, you have never been more aware of the cruel, sharp edges and the absolute limits of that power. The seasons turn. The fierce strangeness of Kira's arrival begins to settle into a new, fragile, and deeply tense routine. She learns the words of your language, her accent a soft musical reminder of her foreignness. She learns the rhythms of the farmstead, the tasks of the household. She is a quick learner, a hard worker, and she is impeccably quiet. You are her mistress. You give her orders, and she obeys them with a downcast, respectful gaze. You are the Husfreya, the queen of this small, smoky kingdom, and she is your servant, your thrall. On the surface, the order is clear, but beneath the surface, a new and complicated dynamic has taken root in your home. Your longhouse has always been warmed by a single central hearth, but now you have come to realize there are two fires burning under your roof. There is your fire, the legitimate, authoritative, and steady flame of the wife and mistress of the house. And there is hers, a quieter, more secret, but no less real flame, one that is fed by the favor of your husband. You spend your days engaged in a quiet, undeclared war of domestic politics. You assert your authority not through shouting or cruelty, but through the clear and undeniable division of labor. You are the master weaver. It is you who sits at the great loom, creating the complex, beautiful patterns in the cloth that is the pride of your household. It is a high-status, highly skilled art. Kira you assign to the more menial preparatory tasks. She spends her days in the corner carding the raw, greasy wool, a messy, tiring job, or spinning the wool into thread on a simple drop spindle. You watch her sometimes, her hands moving with a quick, practiced efficiency. She is good at her work, and you feel a strange, conflicting mixture of professional respect for her skill and a deep territorial resentment. You are the artist. She is the one who prepares the materials. The hierarchy must at all times be maintained. Bjorn. Your husband seems to exist in a state of willful ignorance about the quiet tension that now fills his home. He treats you with the same steady, respectful affection as always. But his eyes, you notice, sometimes drift across the great hall to where Kira is working. One evening, after returning from a short trading trip, he brings gifts. For you, he presents a magnificent, expensive brooch of twisted silver, a fine gift for a wife. He presents it to you publicly in front of the whole household, a clear affirmation of your status. You accept it with a gracious, wifely smile. Later that night, you see him quietly approach Kira as she is banking the fire. He presses something small into her hand. You see what it is, a simple, crudely carved wooden puffin, just like the ones he had smiled at on your journey to this home. It is a small, valueless, and deeply personal gesture. You sit in your high seat, the cold, heavy silver of your new brooch on your chest, and you watch this silent exchange. And you think with a bitter, ironic clarity that you have just won a very public battle and lost a very private one. The evenings are the hardest. After the day's work is done, the entire household gathers around the central fire. You sit in your rightful place on the high bench beside your husband. Kira sits on a low stool across the fire with the other servants and thralls. The physical distance between you is a clear map of your social standing, but the invisible lines of connection are a different map entirely. You watch Bjorn as he tells a story, his gaze occasionally, almost unconsciously, flickering towards her. You watch Kira as she keeps her eyes fixed on her mending, never looking up, trying to make herself as small and as invisible as possible. The air between them and between you and them is thick with unspoken things. And then comes the night, the final, most difficult part of the day. You and Bjorn retire to your private enclosed bed closet. But on some nights, he does not come with you. He will claim he needs to check on the livestock or mend a tool by the fire's dying light. And you must let him. You must walk to your chamber alone, slide the wooden door shut, and lie down in your bed. You do not feel anger, not in a hot, shouting way. You feel a cold, quiet, and deeply profound sense of injustice. You are the mistress of this house. You hold the keys to the food, to the silver, to the cloth, to everything of value. You hold the keys to everything except your husband's own heart and his desires. You lie in the darkness and you listen. You listen to the familiar, comforting sounds of your home settling for the night. The soft, sighing hiss of the last embers in the hearth. The groan of the great wooden beams as the night grows cold. The deep, rhythmic breathing of the sleepers in the main hall. And you strain your ears, trying desperately not to hear the soft, almost imperceptible shuffle of footsteps across the packed earth floor. The sound of your husband leaving the hearth and moving towards the corner where she sleeps. You turn your face into your pillow, the linen you wove yourself suddenly feeling cold against your skin. You are a queen in your own kingdom. You are respected. You are powerful. But tonight, there is another quieter queen in another smaller court right here under your own roof. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. You remember the seeress's words from your childhood, that a woman's heart can be a warm hearth or a battlefield. And you realize with a final weary clarity that she was not entirely right. It does not have to be one or the other. Your home is a warm, well-run, and prosperous hearth. But your marriage has become a quiet, undeclared, and very lonely battlefield. Of course, here is the next part of your story, where the long, quiet truce in your household finally comes to a dramatic and decisive end. Progress 913 parts complete. Now writing part 10. The ambient sound is that of a bustling but contained feast in a longhouse. The sounds are of talking laughter and the clatter of wooden plates and drinking horns. The fire roars in the center. Another year passes, and then another. The sharp, painful edges of your new domestic arrangement begin to wear smooth, settling into the shape of your daily life. It is not happiness, but it is a kind of peace. A long, cold truce. You are the undisputed mistress of the household. Your authority is absolute, your management is flawless, and the farmstead prospers under your care. Kira, the Irish thrall, is a quiet and diligent servant, and your husband Bjorn is your husband, a polite, distant, and often absent partner in the great business enterprise that is your marriage. You have found a way to endure. You have become a master of the quiet, dignified performance of being a wife. You come to believe that this is what the rest of your life will be, a series of well-managed days of unspoken tensions of a quiet, lonely bed. You have accepted it. And then one evening, Bjorn in his carelessness takes a hammer to the fragile piece you have so carefully constructed. You are hosting a small winter feast in your own hall. The Jarl is not present. It is just your neighbors, the landowners of your fjord. You have worked for days to prepare. The air is thick with the rich, savory smell of a whole roasted pig, a testament to your household's prosperity. The ale you brewed in the autumn is strong and clear. The longhouse is warm and bright and full of laughter. You sit in your high seat, the heavy ring of keys at your belt a comforting weight, and you feel a quiet sense of pride. This is your domain. This is the result of your skill, your power. Bjorn has been drinking heavily, his voice louder, and his boasts more grand than usual. One of your neighbors, an old respected farmer named Kalf, raises his horn to you. A toast to the Lady Astrid, he booms. She runs this farmstead so well, Bjorn, I dare say she could do it without you. It is a compliment, a friendly jest meant to honor your skill. The men at the high table laugh in agreement, but you see a flicker of something dark in your husband's eyes. His pride has been stung. Bjorn lets out a loud, dismissive laugh that does not quite reach his eyes. Aye, he says, his voice slurring slightly loud enough for the entire hall to hear. She is a fine woman. She is good with the keys and the loom and the butter churn. A woman's work. He spits a piece of gristle onto the floor. But a man's work is with the sword and the ship and the silver won from foreign shores. That is what builds a name. The hall grows a little quieter. The men are uncomfortable. But Bjorn is not finished. He turns a reckless grin on his face and he calls out to Kira, who is quietly refilling the drinking horns at the lower end of the hall. Is that not right, my little Irish flower? He shouts, making her the center of attention. You have seen a man's work. You understand the value of a Viking's conquests, do you not? And there it is. The final unforgivable insult. In a single drunken breath, he has done two things. He has publicly belittled your role, the very foundation of his own prosperity. And he has publicly elevated his concubine, his thrall, his piece of property above you, his wife and the mistress of the house. He has done this in your own hall before your own neighbors at a feast that you prepared. A profound, deathly silence falls over the high table. Even Bjorn's drunken friends know that he has crossed a line. Kira freezes her face, white with terror, a deer caught in the hunter's gaze. You do not shout. You do not weep. You are the Husfreyja. You are a rock of composure in a sea of your husband's foolishness. You simply raise your own drinking horn, a tight, serene, and absolutely terrifying smile on your face. To the men and their swords, you say, your voice as clear and as cold as ice. Without them, we women would have no halls to manage. You take a slow, deliberate sip. You have smoothly, flawlessly changed the subject and ended the moment. The conversation awkwardly resumes. But inside you, something has snapped. The long, cold truce is over. The quiet, lonely battlefield of your marriage has just seen its final decisive conflict. And you have decided that you will no longer fight a defensive war on a field chosen by your husband. You will choose your own ground, and you will choose your own time to attack. Later that night, you lie awake in your bed closet. Bjorn is snoring drunkenly beside you. You do not feel anger. You do not feel sadness. You feel a strange, cold, and exhilarating clarity. You are the mistress of this house, and you are planning a hostile takeover of your own life. You begin to make a list in your head, as you would for preparing the winter stores, your mind sharp and methodical. Item 1. Secure witnesses. The law requires 3. Your cousin Gunnar, who was at the feast and saw the insult with his own eyes, will be the first. Old Kalf, the man whose compliment started it all, will be the second. He is an honorable man and will speak the truth. For the third, perhaps the wife of another landowner. Yes, that will be strong. Item 2. Secure your assets. The law is clear. The dowry you brought to this marriage is your own property. The 2 great chests of linen and wool, the 6 ewes and their lambs, and the great silver brooch of your grandmother. You will need to arrange for your brothers to visit next week on the pretense of a family matter. They can transport your chests back to your father's farmstead for safekeeping. It must be done discreetly. Item 3. The legal formula. Legal. You recite the words in your mind, the words every Viking woman knows, but so few ever dare to use. I declare myself divorced from Bjorn, son of Eric. You must say them at the threshold of the house, and again at the threshold of your own bed with your witnesses present. You lie in the darkness, the sound of your husband's oblivious snores filling the small space. Your plan is in place. It is a dangerous, audacious, and radical act, but it is your right. The seeress told you all those years ago that your heart could be a hearth or a battlefield. For years you have tried to keep it as a hearth while fighting a quiet, losing battle. Now you have made a different choice. You will burn the hearth down, and from its ashes you will build a new one, a hearth that belongs only to you. Of course. Here is the next part of your story, the powerful, quiet climax where you take your life back into your own hands. Progress. 13 parts complete. Now writing part 11. The ambient sound is a tense, quiet version of the longhouse interior. The fire crackles, but the usual domestic sounds are absent. It is a silence of anticipation. In the weeks that follow the disastrous feast, you move with a new and quiet purpose. Outwardly, you are the same. You are the perfect Husfreyja, managing the household with a calm and flawless efficiency. But inwardly, you are a general meticulously planning a difficult but necessary campaign. A quiet domestic and utterly revolutionary campaign to reclaim your own life. Your preparations are made in secret, under the guise of everyday routine. Your 2 brothers arrive 1 week on the pretext of trading saltfish for your farm's excellent cheese. Your husband Bjorn greets them with the boisterous hospitality of a man who has no idea he is being cleverly outmaneuvered. While he is out showing them the new foal in the stables, you and your brothers work quickly transferring the two great heavy chests of your dowry, the fine woolen linen you spent a winter weaving from your bed closet to their boat. It is done under the cover of loading the cheese barrels. It is a silent, perfectly orchestrated act of asset retrieval. You then make a quiet visit to your cousin Gunnar, and another to the old respected farmer Calf. You speak to them plainly. You remind them of the insult they witnessed at the feast. You tell them you intend to exercise your rights under the law. They are both shocked, but they are both honorable men. They saw what happened. They agree to stand as your witnesses. Your small army is assembled. The night before you lie in the bed closet next to Bjorn for the last time. He is a familiar snoring presence in the darkness. He is not a monster. He is just a man full of the pride and the carelessness of his kind. He is the man who was traded for your dowry. He is the father of the child you carry in your womb, a new secret you hold close. And tomorrow, he will be your past. You do not feel hatred. You feel only a cold calm and absolute resolve. The morning arrives gray and cold. You choose your moment carefully. Bjorn is at the high table, breaking his fast, tearing into a piece of bread with his bare hands. You watch him and you feel nothing. Then your witnesses arrive as planned. Gunnar Kalf and a respected neighbor's wife, Ingrid, a woman known for her sharp tongue and her fair mind. They enter the longhouse and stand quietly by the door, their presence a clear and deliberate signal. The servants and thralls fall silent, sensing that something momentous is about to happen. Bjorn looks up, his mouth full of bread, a look of confused annoyance on his face. "What is the meaning of this, Astrid?" he demands. You do not answer him. You turn to your three witnesses. The law is specific. The ritual must be performed correctly. Your first stop is the bed closet. You walk to the closed wooden door of the room you have shared with your husband. You place your right hand flat against the wood. The whole household is watching you, now their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. Your voice when you speak is not loud, but it is as clear and as cold as the water in a winter fjord. Before these witnesses, you declare, "I declare myself divorced from Bjorn, son of Eric. I name his public insult to my honor and his neglect as my reasons. I declare this bed and my rightful place in it as his wife to be empty." You then turn and walk with a slow and deliberate pace to the great open doorway of the longhouse. It is the threshold between your domestic world and the world outside. Your witnesses follow a silent, solemn procession. Bjorn is on his feet now, his face a mask of red, furious disbelief. "What madness is this?" he roars. "You are my wife. You cannot do this. You do not look at him. You look out past the threshold to the gray sky and the green fields beyond. You take a deep breath. This is the final step. Hear me, all who are present in this hall." You say, your voice ringing with a new and unfamiliar authority. "Before these good witnesses, I, Astrid, daughter of Olaf, do declare myself divorced from Bjorn, son of Eric." You turn now to face your husband. "I declare this for the public shame you brought upon me in my own hall. I declare this for your failure to be a worthy husband and a true partner. By the law of our people, I take back my name. I take back the dowry that was mine. And I take back my life. I am a free woman." The silence that follows is absolute. Bjorn is stunned, humiliated, speechless. He knows you are right. The witnesses are honorable. The law is on your side. He is powerless. You do not gloat. You do not weep. Your final act is one of perfect, cold, and calculated ceremony. You reach to the belt at your waist, to the heavy, familiar ring of bronze and iron keys that has been your constant companion for years. With a slow, deliberate movement that feels immensely significant, you unhook the keys from your belt. You walk to your mother-in-law Sigrid, who has watched this entire scene unfold, her face, a complex and unreadable mask of shock, and perhaps a flicker of grudging respect. You hold out the heavy ring of keys to her. The hearth is now yours to keep once more, good mother. You say, your voice perfectly calm and even. The smallest, most ironic of smiles touches your lips. And with it, the management of your son. It seems he requires more careful supervision than I am any longer willing to provide. Without waiting for a reply, you turn your back on her, on your husband, on the silent, shocked faces of the household, and on the entire life you have known. You walk across the threshold and out into the cold, clean air. Your back is straight. Your head is held high. You are no longer Astrid the wife. You are Astrid, daughter of Olaf, a free woman with no property left, but your own fierce honor and a new secret life growing inside you. You do not know what the future holds, but for the first time since you were a little girl, it is a future that you will write for yourself. You do not run. You walk. With your 3 witnesses trailing behind you like a silent honor guard, you walk away from the farmstead that has been your home, your kingdom, and your battlefield. You do not look back. Your journey back to your father's fjord is a slow, deliberate, and strangely peaceful trek. You are not a shamed woman fleeing a failed marriage. You are a free woman exercising your legal right, and your walk is one of quiet, unshakable purpose. When you arrive at your childhood home, your father Olaf is waiting. He has already heard the news. In the small, interconnected world of the fjords, news travels faster than a raven. He does not shout. He does not scold you. He simply looks at you, his old eyes taking in your straight back and your calm, determined expression. He sees the fierce honor of his own bloodline reflected in you, and he gives a single, slow, proud nod. You are welcome back not as a failure, but as a daughter who has refused to be shamed. In the spring, another truth is revealed. You give birth to a son, a healthy, strong boy with a tuft of blonde hair and a powerful cry. Because you had legally and publicly divorced his father before his birth, the child belongs not to Bjorn's clan, but to yours. He is an heir to your father's name. You name him Leif. You look at your son and you know that your fight was not just for yourself, but for him, for the future of your own line. Your father, a man who values strength and honor above all else, rewards your courage. Using the value of your returned dowry, he grants you a small but prosperous farmstead of your own in a quiet cove at the edge of his lands. For the first time, you are not a daughter, not a wife, but a master in your own right. You are a husfreyja with no husband to answer to a rare and powerful position. You, Astrid, daughter of Olaf, are now the head of your own household. The years that follow are years of hard work and quiet, profound satisfaction. You manage your small farm with the skill and efficiency you have honed over a lifetime. Your sheep grow fat, your harvests are plentiful, and your reputation as a wise and fair landowner grows. The men and women who work for you respect you not for the name of your father or your former husband, but for your own competence and strength. Your new status as a wealthy, independent woman, of course, does not go unnoticed. Suitors begin to arrive at your door. Young, ambitious warriors come, their beards freshly combed, their axes polished. They sit by your hearth and boast of their great deeds on raids to the east, of the monsters they have slain and the silver they have won. They look at you and your prosperous farm as the greatest prize of all. You listen patiently to their loud, exaggerated stories. You offer them a horn of your best ale, and then you politely but firmly send them on their way. You have had quite enough, you think, with a quiet, ironic smile of men who believe the entire world revolves around their own magnificent sagas. Then older, more established landowners come. They do not boast of battle. They speak of alliances, of merging your rich pasture land with their own, of the political advantages of joining 2 strong families. They are calm and serious and respectful, and their proposals sound to your experienced ears remarkably like the conversation your father once had with Eric all those years ago. You listen to their sensible, passionless business proposals, you thank them for their interest, and you decline. You smile to yourself as they leave. You have decided that the best alliance for your farm is the one you already have with yourself. Your son Leif grows into a fine young man. You teach him the ways of the world. You ensure he learns to wield an axe and a shield, for that is the way of your people. But you also teach him other things. You teach him how to read the seasons, how to manage the livestock, how to tell good timber from bad. You teach him to listen more than he speaks. And you teach him to respect the quiet, tireless work of the women who run the world from the loom and the larder. You are raising a man who will, you hope, be a better man than his father. One evening, many, many years later, you are an old woman. Your hair is as white as the winter snow. Your son Leif is now the master of the farm, a strong and respected man with a family of his own. You are the matriarch, the revered elder, your days filled with the laughter of your grandchildren. You are sitting by the great hearth in the center of your own prosperous longhouse. You look into the steady dancing flames and you think back on the long, strange road of your life. You think of the little girl listening with awe to the seeress's words. You think of the young bride, a silent pawn in a game of alliances. You think of the powerful wife, the keeper of the keys, ruling a household that was not truly her own. And you think of the woman who stood on a threshold and with nothing but her own courage and the power of the law, took her life back. You finally truly understand what the old völva meant. A woman's heart can be a hearth or a battlefield. You have lived through the war. You have fought on the battlefield of your own marriage, of your own society, and you have won. And from that victory, you have built this, a warm, safe, and happy hearth that is entirely your own. The fire in front of you, surrounded by the family that comes from you, is a testament to that long and difficult victory. You feel a deep and profound sense of peace. You are not just a survivor. You are a founder, a creator, a free woman who became the true and absolute mistress of her own destiny. Many, many years have passed. You are an old woman now, the respected and revered matriarch of your own prosperous clan. Your hair is as white as the winter snow, your face a beautiful map of the long and eventful life you have lived. You are sitting in your own high seat, in your own great hall, by the warmth of your own roaring hearth. This is the peace you have built, not with a sword, but with your own two hands, with your sharp mind, and with a will as strong and as unbending as the northern mountains. Your son Leaf is now a man grown, a strong and fair leader with a family of his own. He manages the farmstead now, but he still comes to you for advice. You watch him across the hall speaking with his own wife, and you see the way he listens to her, the look of genuine respect and partnership in his eyes. You think with a quiet, deeply satisfied and humorous smile that your most successful and important act of weaving was not with wool upon a loom, but with the character of your son. You have woven a better man. You look into the dancing golden flames of the hearth, and you think of the seeress, the völva, from all those years ago. You remember her words that a woman's heart can be a hearth or a battlefield. You smile. She was a wise woman, but she was not entirely right. You have learned that a heart does not have to be one or the other. You have learned that sometimes you must go to war on the battlefield of your own life in order to build a hearth that is truly and unshakably your own. The fire in front of you, the laughter of your grandchildren, the quiet respect of your people. This is the peace that comes after the battle. It is a victory. You feel a great sense of completion. You have lived through it all. You have embodied all the aspects of the great goddess Freya, the young maiden, the wife and lover, the fierce warrior who fought for her own freedom, and the wise old magician who shaped her own destiny. Your life has been full, and now you are content. And so your story as Astrid, daughter of Olaf, the woman who held the keys to her own life, comes to its warm and peaceful close. Her long and winding journey is over. She has earned her rest by the fire, and now you can embrace your own rest in the quiet and deep comfort of your own room. The peace she found at the end of her life was earned through decades of struggle, of work, of difficult and courageous choices. The peace that is available to you now is simpler. It is the simple, gentle act of letting go. Her life was one of constant demanding duty, tending the fields, managing the household, guarding the honor of her family. But your duties for the day are over. You have no stores to count, no cloth to weave, no battles to plan. Your only task now is to surrender to the quiet of the night. Think of the warmth of her hearth fire, a fire she had to build and feed with her own hands. But the warmth that surrounds you now is effortless. It is the deep, even warmth of your own bed, the gentle heat that asks nothing of you but your presence. Feel that warmth now, that simple, profound comfort. Let the memory of that distant, smoky longhouse fade away. Let the sounds of the sagas and the feasts grow quiet. Your own world, your own time is a much quieter, gentler place. Listen to that quiet. It is a luxury she never knew. Astrid has laid down her burdens. Now you can lay down yours. The worries of your day, the plans for your tomorrow. They are not as heavy as the fate of a family or the hardship of a Viking winter. They can wait. Her story is told. The great fire in the longhouse now burns low, a bed of soft glowing embers. Let the memory of its gentle fading warmth become your own. Her long day is done, and now yours is too. There is nothing left to do, there is nothing left to be, only rest. Let the quiet settle over you, let the darkness be a soft, warm blanket. Drift now, sleep now.